You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse, and folks are starting to report for spring training. It's that time of year where you might get out that old movie, The Natural, where that middle-aged guy becomes a rookie and for one magical season makes it in the big leagues. Well, that holds true for bass fishing, too. There's professional bass anglers out there, and you, listening today, might want to be one of them. We're going to give you some advice on exactly how to do that. Our guest is Clayton Batts. He hails from Macon, Georgia. He's been fishing the Fishing League Worldwide, or FLW, Bass Tour since 2014. Clayton, welcome to the show.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Clayton, I'm doing great. And you know what? You have had a good career since 2014. Since you broke into the circuit as a rookie, you've earned over $145,000 since then. Why don't you tell our listeners your journey from becoming just a kid who loved to go bass fishing to actually getting on the FLW Bass Tour?
I grew up in Macon, Georgia. I lived with my mom and dad, and I stayed a bunch of summers with my aunt and my uncle, and that's who really introduced me to fishing. And she's 93 right now, and she'll still go sit on the bank with you all day. From there, I moved on up, and just like with baseball, like you were mentioning earlier, there's a bunch of steps you can take, and there's even more steps that are available now to younger anglers. But FLW does a great job at providing those steps for you to be able to move on up to fish the tour. I would suggest people start out fishing the BFLs. Those are mainly local and regional tournaments. Then you'd move up to the Costa Series. And I would suggest while you're fishing the Costa Series to at least try to fish one or two of the tour tournaments at the back of the boat, or either sign up for a couple of elite series where you can be in the back of the boat there and you're learning from different anglers. That's a great learning curve, and it takes years and years of learning just by spending 2 or 3 days with a guy that does this every day. I would keep moving up with it until you feel comfortable that you can be in the front of the boat. Biggest mistake I see between people, younger guys and older guys, is trying to take that transition too fast. And if you take that transition too fast, you're paying somebody else's house payment.
That's a good way to put it. You know, I've actually seen a few folks who have made this jump, from basically going from the local bass club to trying to go pro, and it's not gone well, and it's exactly what you're talking about, trying to make that transition too fast. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this, because there's a lot of good sticks out there on the water that may not be fishing tournaments, but I'm guessing it takes a lot more than just being able to catch fish on a consistent basis out of your home lake to actually become a pro.
Yes, sir. Most of the time, you see a bunch of anglers at their home lake. They're known as the stick there, and, they win about every tournament that comes there, and they're just well known within that community. Well, basically, when we go to a lake, I have 3 days to figure out a lake, whereas one of those local guys, they've been fishing that whole lake their whole life. They know every stump, every ditch, every rock pile, and it's more of a pattern deal, where you have to be able to figure stuff out really, really fast, where you can't rely on those years and years of information if you're spending that time on the water.
I'm guessing you can't exactly be a one-trick pony when it comes to being a bass pro either, in terms of you fish crankbaits real well and that's your thing and you don't fish anything else.
Correct. You got to be very, very versatile. Like, I'm on a 3-week tournament spree right now. I'm going to the Harris Chain in Florida. I'm going to stop at Seminole to fish at Costa, and then I'm going to Lake Lanier in North Georgia. I'm going from catching them on the bed in grass and 2 or 3 feet of water to getting up on Lanier, and I'll be catching them, 40 feet up there. So you have to be very, very versatile and be able to fish all depths and be confident enough to be able to go do it when you get there.
Something else, if you watch TV and you watch the weigh-ins, it's all so glamorous. The boat is all clean, and there's the nice clean truck towing it in, and there's, somebody like you in the back of the boat holding up a couple of bass. But the reality of the tournament trail isn't so glamorous. It's a lot of hard work, isn't it?
It's extremely a whole lot of work. When I leave, you leave your family and friends. I'll be gone for, like I said, about a month this time. I'll be home a couple of weeks, and then I'll be back on the road. But, it's a lot of stress on all your family, friends, and plus, we can get into another side of this. Fishing has came such a long ways in probably the last, I'd say, 10 years. where it's not necessarily that you have to win and catch fish, but there's also a whole different side to it with the marketing aspect of it. You have to be able to market yourself and stand out and be able to do something a little bit different to be able to promote product.
Well, and I guess that's where the sponsorships come in, because it's not like you can be like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights and have a shirt that says sponsored by me and expect to be successful. You need some backing, whether it be for your boat, whether it be for your tackle or your rods, whether it be for some expenses on the road. And the sponsors, they expect a return, don't they, besides just winning?
Correct. If you can't show a sponsor a return on their investment, you might have them for 1 year, but you're not going to consistently have that sponsor coming back year after year. In the fishing industry, it seems big, but it's extremely small. So if you get a bad reputation of being one of those anglers where you're not showing much interest in the product, not promoting it on social media, magazine articles, and you're willing to really, really work for that sponsor, then word of mouth in the industry, I mean, it goes and carries a long way. And once you lose that one and get that reputation of not being able to work for them, then they'll tell your next guy that you might be working on. And it kind of carries on from there.
Clayton, you just spilled one of the biggest secrets in the fishing industry, the outdoors industry. Folks, if you read the magazines, if you watch TV, like Clayton said, you think it's a huge, huge industry, but it's not. And you meet a lot of the same people wearing different hats at different times, and word does get out in a hurry, especially about those guides and those pros that are one-offs, that basically come to you asking for a lot of stuff, and they don't give you anything in return. So that's some great advice there. Clayton, we've been talking about sponsors and the folks that help you out. Why don't you tell our listeners who they are before you go?
Yes, sir. My sponsors and the ones that really back me, I even call these marketing partners, because I like to be able to show the return on investment for them, and I like for sponsorship kind of sounds like, that's a donation, and I don't consider it that. I consider it more of a partnership where I can sell products for them and they can back me for doing it. Foam Coolers, that's my main sponsor this year. Savage Gear, Ardent Reels, Strike Zone Lures, Carbon Skim Product, Superfish Bait Company, and Bass Boats for Sale.
There you go. Those are the folks that are helping Clayton out on the trail. And again, gives you some ideas of what you're going to need if you want to make that jump as well. Any last parting advice you'd like to give any aspiring pros before we go?
I'd say, especially for the younger kids now, there's a bunch of different avenues of going pro. I'd start out by fishing your high school club, then fishing. You can actually have college clubs now that are grown. I mean, that's huge. One of the things in college, I'd make sure if you're trying to focus on a fishing career, go get a degree in marketing or business management and take as many computer classes as you can. Every elective, if I could do it over again, every elective I took would be computer classes. Just because, right now you do have a bunch of pros that are out here that don't handle any of their social media, and they don't do any of the videos or anything like that. And there's more classes you can take in college to learn that. You're essentially saving you more money, and you're making your profile look a whole lot better.
That's some great and unexpected advice on becoming a pro in the bass fishing world from Clayton Batts. If you want to follow him on the tournament trail, just go to the Fishing League Worldwide website and look for Clayton Batts. It's Batts. He's a busy fisherman. He's a good one. And as you just heard, he's got a lot going for him when it comes to this whole industry. You can also follow Clayton on Facebook at Clayton Batts Fishing. That's a great place to follow what he's doing. Clayton, thanks so much for sharing all of this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
I appreciate it, sir.